Hi, I'm Michelle Sterling for Friends of Science Society. You probably heard that there's a Canada-Alberta Memorandum of Understanding, an MOU, that one day there might be a pipeline from Alberta to the west coast of British Columbia. And as soon as that MOU came out, the province of BC Premier David Eby said, no pipeline. And then a group of coastal First Nations, which turns out are funded by foreign sources, said no pipeline. And they also rejected the tanker ban. So did the city of Victoria. They don't want to repeal the tanker ban. And Quebec also spoke up, even though a pipeline from Alberta to the west coast is nowhere near Quebec, but they're part of what's called BOGA, Beyond Oil and Gas Alliance. So they are co-chairs of BOGA with Denmark, and they don't want any more oil and gas in the world, despite the fact that, of course, Quebec has a couple of big refineries and they import oil from the U.S. and from Nigeria and Saudi Arabia and other places and refine it there. So there's just a little bit of hypocrisy. Anyway, so it's looking more and more like a clown show here in Canada, especially for Alberta. But, you know, let's see. And just to add a little icing on the cake, about a week after the MOU came out, Premier Wab Kinew in Manitoba came out with a statement about his expansion of transmission lines in Manitoba. And he had to take a little shot at Alberta and say, well, Albertans get rich from pipelines, but we in Manitoba are building transmission lines that will benefit everyone.
Pipelines make Albertans rich, but transmission lines make Manitobans rich. So let's build transmission lines to connect all of Canada, from Manitoba to the western provinces, to Ontario in the east, going north to Nunavut. We need to connect all of Canada with new transmission lines.
You know, it's weird that people in Canada don't understand that the oil sands and pipelines from Alberta enrich everyone in Canada, because Alberta receives royalties and taxes. All those companies, all the people who work for the companies, send taxes to the province and to Ottawa. And everyone benefits from the revenues from oil and gas exported from Alberta. Everyone in Canada benefits from it. But all that aside, another thing came up the other day. The U.S. just issued a new strategic statement, kind of an updated Monroe Doctrine. And the Monroe Doctrine was meant to keep Europe from interfering in American affairs. It was written a long, long time ago, but this is an updated one. And they take a pretty hard shot at Europe, you know, which is where Prime Minister Mark Carney has said he's going to draw a closer alliance. And one of the big shots they take right off the top in their strategic statement is that the U.S. is done with net zero and climate change. So, you know, where does that put us, Canada, on the world stage? Our closest neighbor, our largest trading partner, is actually seeing Europe as a threat down the road. They see a civilizational collapse occurring in Europe. And they're saying, you know, the NATO partners that signed the original NATO agreement 20 years from now will not be the same kind of people. I wonder how they're looking at Canada. And, you know, what kind of a clown show is it that we supposedly are going to build a one Canadian economy and everyone's going to work together on Team Canada, and the minute we get a memorandum of understanding to build a pipeline, provinces across the country stand up and say, no, that's a bad idea. We won't accept it. I don't know. Crazy times. But our economy is really declining rather rapidly. And we got to do something fast. Have a look at the numbers. Don't take my word for it. Anyway, bit of a clown show here in Canada, no? For Friends of Science Society, I'm Michelle Sterling.